So if doing the most important thing is the most important thing, then why would you do any other thing at the same time? Or in other words, doing two things at the same time, it means doing neither of them. Well friends, my name is Arun Thukral. I am a life and a leadership coach, and as you are learning along with me how to manage your time effectively, how to be more productive, in this video I'm going to talk to you about a very familiar and one of the most common practices a lot of executives, a lot of people at home use, that is called as multitasking. A lot of people feel that if you are a multitasker, you can achieve a lot of things. Or I would say that a lot of organizations, they put multitasking as one of the most important competency or skill required for you to get selected in the job. However, multitasking is absolutely a myth. It's a lie. It doesn't help at all if you really want to be productive, if you really want to be effective. So I'm going to take you through all that, what multitasking is, how it derails your productivity, what all you can do that you can become more productive, what are those actions, what are those processes that you need to follow to become more productive, and also what are the things that happens during multitasking that takes away your most precious time. So don't go anywhere. I want you to stay with me, learn this program, understand what it is, and apply in your work area. So when you try to do two things at the same time, either you can't do or you won't do it well. But what happens? People just get glued to it. They want to do it more and more and more things at the same time. But let's understand that why people are doing like this. For a simple reason that if you open Google today and if you check out on the website about how to get better at work, you will see that there are lots of sites, lots of apps are going to talk about that, how you can do multitasking, how you can get even better at it, and you can achieve many things together. And if you are thinking like that, let me tell you, you are taking a step backward, because doing two things at the same time won't give you the same amount of efficiency that you are looking at it. It is as simple as that, which means you have to focus on one thing at a time. But look at that. Companies are looking at people who are very good in multitasking. Rather, people are doing a lot of efforts that how they can become a good multitasker. Well, as we progress, I will now take you through how this multitasking actually came into effect. What is the history behind it? And then how we really transform that in our day-to-day life as we have progressed over the years. And now we are becoming better at it, but it is really taking away our precious time and making us less and less productive. So let's get into the history of multitasking. How did this word even arise? Now, if you all remember in 60s with the invent of the computer, we all know that it created a history itself. And 10 megahertz used to be a very big thing at that time. Now, multitasking is a word that came out from that particular time, which means multiple tasks done alternatively through one resource. That is, we call it as CPU. But over a period of time, people took it that multiple tasks done simultaneously by human beings. Even when a computer cannot do things simultaneously, it does it alternatively. But from our naked eye, when we look at the screen, we feel that just by a click of button, everything starts to happen in front of you. However, when the humans started to take this multitasking simultaneously, which means they wanted to do more than two things at the same time. And that's where over a period of time, people started got used to this word called as multitasking. And that is where we all are getting better at it. Now let's take some real-time examples. Let's imagine that two aeroplanes are landing at the same time on the same airfield. Or maybe when you are driving and you met with an accident. Or sometimes you see that the milk spill over when it is boiling. There are many examples that we see all around. This is precisely because we have divided our attention in doing multiple things and we could not focus on one thing at a time, and that led to either accidents or sometimes you forget what you are doing all of a sudden. Why this happens? It simply happens when you try to do more than two things at the same time. Because when you do more than two things at the same time, your span of attention go forward and backward many times, and then your attention gets divided. Whereas on computer front, what we look at is that when it does those multiple tasks, there are processors which fasten its speed and they are able to process it faster than we think. But today, when we look at kids, they are doing texting, they are calling, and they are eating, and they are doing many things at the same time. You look at adults, they are doing driving, they are listening to music, they are also watching the traffic, and at the same time they are eating or they are thinking something else. So imagine, as a individual, we are trying to do many things at the same time, but none of it gets us to any productivity. But the question is, why do we do that? The simple answer to that is because we feel that within that space of time we can do many more things simultaneously. And it is not that we do not have time. We can always eat if we can stop the car and finish our meals, or we can drink water. But we have a tendency that yes, I can do more than two things. And that's where people tend to add more things, and they feel better at it. That means, like while driving, they are trying to text, read a message, find out any number, and that's where it leads to accidents. Not only just this physical thing, there are mental things also that are happening. You are working in your office, you are focusing on a particular thing, and then you get distracted with so many emails, so many messages, so many disruptions that are coming towards you. And that's where your productivity is going down. Let's go a little more deeper and get into understanding that what happens when you are in a workplace, why your productivity gets hampered, why you are not able to become super productive in spite of more amount of time that you are giving, more hours that you are putting in your work. Now let's get into some work situations. I'm sure we all want to be productive when we work very diligently in whatever role we are. Now let's imagine that you are working on a project, you are sitting in your office desk, you're working on your computer screen. Now let's get into a scenario. What happens? First of all, during the office hours, somebody will walk into your desk and will have some or the other discussion. Either they want you to take you to a coffee, or they want to go out for a break, or there is some discussion, casual discussion that comes on your way. By this time, you will see that there are loads of email are popping one after another on your email box. In next 2 minutes, you see that some of the office secretaries are coming to your side and putting some files on your desk that you need to go through and sign it. In the meanwhile, your phone got rung thrice or four times, maybe from your home or from somebody else, and you have to attend those missed calls during this time. Not only that, at the same time, you are also getting feeds from your social media, from your Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and whatnot. And by all this, you are just lost. It's very difficult to get back to your work and give that 100% attention on the project that you are doing. And on top of it, your boss wants you to be productive. Your boss wants you to deliver results to the best of your capacity, and you are really working hard. And then you see that in spite of hard work, you are not able to produce the best results. And it is purely an outcome of multitasking, knowingly or unknowingly. In this world of distraction, you have to produce results. Not only that, there is another fact that research suggests that an employee gets distracted after every 11 minutes, and it takes almost 1/3 of the day to recover and come back from these distractions. So imagine most of your time is going out in doing unnecessary things. I'll give you an example. In my own case, when I was in office during my working days, I used to get time only after 6 p.m. when everyone has almost leaving the office or has left the office, and I used to say, now my time starts. Because for the whole day you are getting distracted from various meetings, calls, distractions of breaks, and many more things. But let's get into this and understand a little more deeper that how to overcome this, what to do this, which are those tasks where we can do multitasking efficiently if we want to do it, but which are those tasks which are very, very pertinent and you need to give your 100% attention, and also how to overcome that. Now let's get into some more facts. Do you know that more than 40,000 thoughts cross our mind in a single day? Which means that every 14 seconds we have a new thought, and that new thought will take away us to a new direction. And that is where we tend to get into doing many things at the same time. Not only that, just one thing gets over at one time, by the time the second another thing is just popping up ready to get into your head to do the other thing. And that's a very natural phenomena. Now, what to do about it, how to overcome that, and how to stay focused on the task. For that, we really need to understand that there are two kinds of tasks in my mind. One is, we call it as journal task. So switching from one task to the next task sometimes is painless, sometimes it's easy, whereas in complicated task which requires a lot of focus from the mind, distracting and moving from that one task to another task is very, very painful. Let me give you an example. For example, you are watching a TV or you are listening music while the second task is that you are folding your clothes or you're cleaning your room. That's relatively easy to switch from one task to the other, or maybe simultaneously can be done very easily. But imagine if you are working on an expense sheet, or you are working on an Excel sheet, and you are working on some serious costing models or something that requires a full 100% attention, and somebody comes into your desk and he wants to have a word with you immediately. And when you switch from that task and you attend that particular gentleman or that particular call, you switch from one task to the second task. Now going back to the same task is very, very painful, because you require full attention, full dedication to what you are doing. And that's where you need to be very, very careful about. For example, when I have to write this, create my videos or write my blogs, I generally take my time off. I switch off my phone, or it may be done in the late night or early morning when I have the least amount of distractions around me. And that's how I'm able to produce this content that I'm sharing with you, or I write those blogs which are of more value. But if I try to do it during the day when I have got so many calls, so many emails, so many pop-ups or visitors coming to me, it won't be possible to give my attention. So generally, a lot of people have a certain time when they switch from one task to another, which are less painful, but they need to be very cautious about, or you need to be very cautious about, what are those tasks which require your 100% attention. That is the time either you get aloof. I'm sure you would have seen there are a lot of people in your boardroom, they say that don't disturb me for the next 3 hours because I'm into something very important. Or you see that people go back to their home, they lock themselves up because they want to do something very seriously and they don't want to get distracted. And that is how your success, your productivity would come. But if you don't pay attention to this and you mix up everything, it's definitely not going to help you. You will remain unproductive, not only unproductive, but you would also give a lot of time in doing those tasks. And you will feel more tired, your energy will go out, and then you say that I worked so hard, but I'm not getting the desired results. Why someone else is getting more benefited, getting more increments, getting more salary, earning more money and attention than in spite of you working so hard. Now let's talk about some science here, how the science plays a role when we have to put our attention into something. So look at our brain. This is our head, this is our brain. The forefront, or the vortex we call it as, this is where you bring attention and focus to your work. The backside is a background where there are different channels and a lot of information is processed in the back of the brain. Likewise, let's take an example. You can walk and you can talk at the same time. Walking is happening in the forefront while talking is happening at the background, which means you can do two things simultaneously at the same time. But the point is that you cannot put same amount of attention on both the things, and that's why you may not be effective. Or in other words, you may say that I can still do two things. Yes, you can, but then it would be a divided attention. Or maybe I can put it like this: the moment you add a third thing into it, you would definitely drop one of the things that you're doing, because your span of attention is going to be super divided. Or for example, let's say you are walking and talking and you are crossing a zebra or you're crossing a road. What would happen? Either you meet with an accident or you have to stop one thing, which means that your divided attention will become super divided and an accident is definitely due to take place. So it's very, very important. You need to understand those channels which are relevant and how you process it. For example, let's take another example. Let's say you are driving along with your wife and you are going on a highway and your wife is talking about that let's buy a new sofa for our house. Now what happens? Your background, you are thinking about the sofa and your bedroom and how it is going to look like. You're just picturing it at the same time. Now what happens? You're on a traffic, and that is where there are very high chances that you may come across an accident, because when you try to do more than two things at the same time, your focus gets divided, and it is called as divided attention. So we know that multitasking can be also fatal, particularly when it comes to lives. Now think about a surgeon or a pilot. What happens when they are on the job? You want them to be 100% paying full attention to whatever they are doing, and any mishappening by them, we all know what it can lead to. Or in other words, what we expect them to do is do one thing at a time. We can't even think about a pilot is thinking something else or doing something else when he's on a flight, or a doctor forgetting to take care of his patient in an operation theater. Or in other words, we expect them to be fully aligned and focused to what they are doing. But what happens to you? What you may think that you may not be doing that important job of saving lives, so you are okay to do multitasking. But let me tell you, if you are taking that as an okay, you are doing the most evil thing to yourself, because you are destroying your career, you are destroying your productivity. And then you also understand that your job is as important as it is the job of a pilot or a surgeon, if you pay attention to what you're doing. But many a times people take it so casually that they feel that their job is a routine or a mundane job, and it's okay that they can do multitasking. But when we know that multitasking is such a fatal thing, then why would you allow yourself or anybody else to do that? Because when you want to achieve something big, when you want to do something important, you really need to give your full attention or an undivided attention to that particular piece. Now look at it this way. When you are giving a divided attention to your teammates, when you are giving a divided attention to your work, will that ever be giving you a productive results? No, it will never be. But still people get and do that, and they take pleasure in it, and they try to get better at it. So what is important? Very simple. That important thing is you should take one task at a time, because as I said, in switching over from one task to the another, there is a time that loses, and that loss of time and attention is equivalent to the cost, which people don't realize. But once you understand this, now once you realize this, that there is a cost involved in doing so, why would you do that? Why would you not focus one thing at a time, make it the best that you can do, and use your time to the best of your capacity? I will be also sharing now some of the key takeaways that what you should be doing to ensure that you are not just multitasking, you are focusing on your work. So some of the takeaways that I want you to think over before you close this video. Number one, distractions are natural. It happens to all of us, so don't worry about it. Second is that multitasking is a lie, and distraction at work or at your home brings poor choices, painful mistakes, and unnecessary stress. Number three, distractions lead to low results, which means that when you try to do so many things at the same time, you actually do neither, which means you need to focus on what matters most and give your 100% attention on that particular thing, which will bring out better results, better productivity, and of course, a lot of success to you. Well, I'm sure if this video has really helped you to think about that, if you are doing multitasking and how you are going to really now work on it to focus on one task at a time and save your undivided attention into many things, then I can promise you are gonna do wonders. So do share your comments and feedbacks below, and let me know what did you like in this and other topics that you want to cover in the future. I will come back to you soon on this. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching me.